The twin suns were setting over the cold, metallic city of Arian 9. Its towers shined like glass spears, but deep under them, where light could not reach, lived the Forgotten Ones. Among them was a small alien woman named Sira. Her body was thin, her skin pale blue and rough from hunger. Once she had belonged to a proud race known as the Lunari, but after the Great Galactic War her people were labeled traitors. No one would sell them food, no one would offer them shelter. Sira's stomach had stopped growling days ago. It had given up. Her hands trembled as she searched the trash lanes for scraps. Around her, tall humans and robots passed by, pretending not to see her. To them, she was invisible, a shadow of a crime she never committed. She leaned against a broken wall, wrapping her thin arms around herself. Maybe this is how it ends, she whispered to the empty alley. A cold wind blew, carrying the smell of fried food from a nearby street. The scent made her dizzy. She could almost imagine biting into something warm again. Just one meal, one bite. Her eyes followed a group of humans walking past. They wore bright uniforms, galactic citizens. On Arian 9, humans ruled everything now. Even the air seemed to belong to them. Sira wanted to hate them, but she was too tired for hate. As the crowd passed, a small figure lagged behind. A human child, maybe 6 or 7 years old, holding a glowing cube of food, something sweet and golden. The child's name, she would later learn, was Eli. He walked slowly, humming to himself, until he noticed the strange figure crouched by the wall. Their eyes met, his bright brown eyes and her deep silver ones. Sira turned her face away quickly. She knew what came next. The fear, the scream, the insult, but there was silence. Then small footsteps. Are you hungry? Her heart stopped. The voice was small, gentle, unlike anything she'd heard in months. She looked up. The child stood just a few feet away, holding out his food cube with both hands. She stared at it. She could smell the sweetness. Her throat burned with need. I can't, she whispered. They'll punish you if they see. Eli tilted his head. My dad says sharing is good. She shook her head again, but her hands betrayed her. Slowly, trembling, she reached out and took the food. The warmth of it almost made her cry. She took one small bite. It tasted like life. Thank you, she said softly. Her voice cracked. You shouldn't be kind to me. The boy frowned. Why? You look sad. Sad people need friends. Friends. The word felt strange in her mouth. She had forgotten what it meant. Before she could answer, a sharp voice shouted from the corner, Eli! Get away from that thing. A tall human man rushed forward, the child's father. His face twisted with anger as he grabbed Eli's arm. What did I tell you? Don't talk to aliens. They're dangerous. Sira flinched as the man glared at her. If you touch him again, I'll call the patrol. He pulled the boy away, the glowing food cube falling to the ground. Eli looked back, his eyes full of confusion. But she was hungry. Enough, the man snapped. They disappeared into the crowd. Sira stared at the fallen food, half-eaten and glowing softly. Slowly she picked it up. For the first time in years, her eyes filled with tears, not from pain, but from something else. Something warm she didn't understand. That night, as the stars blinked above the metal city, Sira whispered to herself. He said, friends. It had been so long since anyone had used that word with her. But kindness, even small, was dangerous on Arian 9. And she knew, if anyone found out that a human child had fed an alien, the galactic law would not forgive it. As she hid in the shadows, clutching the half-eaten cube, she didn't know that this small moment, this tiny act of kindness, would change everything. For her, for the boy, and for the galaxy. The next morning on Arian 9 began with the same metallic sunrise. The twin suns painted the glass towers gold, but deep below the city's underlevels stayed cold and gray. Sira sat beneath a rusted bridge, clutching a torn piece of cloth around her shoulders. Her stomach was quiet, but her mind wasn't. It kept replaying that boy's voice again and again. Sad people need friends. She didn't understand why those words hurt more than hunger. No one had called her anything but creature or scum for years. She looked at the small food cube she had saved from last night, now cold and dull. She couldn't eat it. It wasn't just food anymore. It was proof that someone had seen her as more than a monster, but kindness from a human child was dangerous. And danger always spread fast on Arian 9. That afternoon, Sierra moved through the market lanes, careful to hide her face beneath a hood. The galactic patrol drones buzzed above like silver insects, scanning faces for undesired species. If they caught her, she'd be sent to the outer colonies, places from which no one returned. While hiding behind a supply crate, she saw him again. Eli. The little boy was walking beside his father, holding a small glowing toy, smiling and humming softly. Sierra's heart jumped. She knew she should walk away. Forget him. He was human, untouchable, protected, but she couldn't move. The boy stopped near a fruit stall. His father turned to talk to a trader, leaving him alone for a moment. Then out of nowhere, a drone swooped low. Unauthorized device detected. It blared, flashing red lights. Eli froze, scared. The glowing toy in his hand was harmless, but the drone mistook it for contraband tech. Its laser scanner charged up. Before Sierra even thought, her body moved. She dashed from the shadows and pulled the boy back just as a beam of red light scorched the ground where he'd been standing. The crowd gasped. The drone turned its sensor toward her. Lunari species detected. Alert, illegal presence. Sierra grabbed the boy's hand and ran. "Don't look back," she shouted. Her legs moved like lightning through the narrow alleys. The drone followed, blasting warnings. The sound echoed through the tunnels. They reached a dead-end wall covered with pipes. Sierra spun, her chest heaving. The drone was closing in, metal wings cutting through the air. She raised her hand, and for the first time in years, her old power, the light of the Lunari, flared to life. A pulse of blue energy burst from her palm. It hit the drone and sent it crashing into the wall with a burst of sparks. Smoke filled the alley. Eli stared in awe. "You saved me." Sierra looked down at her glowing hand. It trembled. That power had once made her kind feared and hunted. Now it had saved a human child. "Go," she said quickly. "Your father will be looking for you. But what about you?" "I'll be fine," she lied. "Run before the others come." He hesitated, then pressed something small into her hand. A silver badge shaped like a star. "It's mine," he said softly. "For my friend." Before she could reply, he ran back toward the main road. Sierra looked at the badge. It was warm from his hand. For a moment, she felt something she hadn't felt since her homeworld fell. Hope. Then the sound of boots echoed down the alley. Patrol officers. They were searching for her. She slipped into the shadows, her hood pulled low. She knew the law. Saving a human didn't make her a hero. It made her a criminal. That night, she found shelter inside an old transport tunnel, the walls humming with old power cables. She sat alone, the silver badge in her hand. "He called me his friend," she whispered. But she also knew what would happen if the patrol traced her energy signature. They would come for her, and maybe even for the boy. She closed her eyes. "I can't let them find him. He's just a child." From that night onward, Sierra became something new, an unseen guardian. Every evening, she watched from the rooftops when Eli walked home from school. She followed his shadow, silent and hidden. No one saw her. No one thanked her. But every time she saw his small smile, she remembered that one moment of kindness that had saved her heart. What she didn't know was that others were watching too. Far above the city, inside a galactic command cruiser, her energy flare had been recorded. The file was labeled, "Lunari Outcast Detected. Subject must be captured alive." And so began the hunt. For 3 nights, Sierra stayed hidden beneath the old tunnels of Arian 9. The air was damp, filled with the smell of rust and oil. Every sound echoed too loudly. The drip of water, the distant hum of patrol ships, the whisper of metal boots above. She hadn't slept much. Each time she closed her eyes, she saw the boy's face, Eli, smiling as he said, "For my friend." That little star-shaped badge still rested in her hand. It gave her strength, but also fear, because kindness in a city like this came with danger. High above the city, inside the silver fortress of Galactic Command, a meeting was taking place. Hollow screens flickered across the room, showing images of the blue-skinned woman who had destroyed a patrol drone with forbidden Lunari energy. Subject 47B. "Confirmed Lunari," said Commander Voss, his voice cold and sharp. "She's been hiding for years. But now she's active again." An officer turned to him. "Sir, witnesses say she was protecting a human child." Voss laughed. "Don't be fooled. Lunari are manipulators. They act kind before they strike. Find her, Alive. The council wants to study what's left of her kind. The order spread quickly through the network. Patrol drones were sent into every sector. Posters flashed across public screens. Dangerous alien at large. Report sightings immediately. Down in the streets, Sierra noticed the change. People whispered when she walked by. Robots scanned every corner. Patrol lights painted the walls in red and blue. She stayed in the shadows, but even there she felt trapped. One night, while searching for food, she heard small footsteps again. "Eli?" she whispered. The boy appeared at the alley entrance holding a small lantern. His face lit up when he saw her. "You're okay," he said. "I was scared they caught you." Sierra stepped forward quickly. "You shouldn't be here. It's not safe, but I wanted to see you," he said softly. "Dad doesn't believe you saved me. He says you tricked me, but I know he's wrong." Her chest tightened. "Listen to me, Eli. You must forget about me. The patrols are looking for someone like me. If they see you with me again, I don't care," he said, eyes full of stubborn innocence. "You're my friend." Sierra knelt down, her voice breaking. "Eli, you don't understand. I'm not like you. Humans fear my kind. They think we're monsters." He shook his head. "You're not a monster. Monsters don't save people." Before she could answer, a loud buzz filled the air and the sound of a patrol drone. Red lights flashed on the walls. Unauthorized movement detected. Sierra grabbed Eli's hand and pulled him behind a crate. The beam of the drone scanned the alley, sweeping dangerously close. "Stay quiet," she whispered. They waited, hearts pounding. The drone hovered for a moment, then flew off into the distance. Sierra exhaled slowly. That was too close. Eli looked up at her. "You should come to my house. We have food. You can hide in my room." "My dad won't," she interrupted gently. "Your father would turn me in to protect you. I can't risk that." Tears filled the boy's eyes. "Then where will you go?" "I don't know," she said softly. "But I'll find a way. I always do." He reached out and held her hand. "You don't have to be alone." Her throat tightened. For a second she wished she could believe him. But she knew better. The galaxy was not kind to outcasts. Suddenly a new sound echoed through the alley. Heavy boots. Voices. "Scan the area. Report shows Lunari energy signature near Sector 6. Sierra froze. "They're here." She looked at Eli. "Run home, now. But, go," she hissed. "Don't look back." He ran, his small steps fading into the night. Sierra pressed herself against the wall as the patrol entered the alley. 3 soldiers. Armed. Searching. She held her breath. Her heart thudded like a drum. One of them aimed a scanner in her direction. The beam of blue light crawled closer. Closer. Then from the corner, a cat-like creature darted out, knocking over a can. The soldiers turned. "There, movement." They chased the wrong target. Sierra slipped out silently through a maintenance tunnel, vanishing into the night. Hours later, she stood on the city's outer rim, looking down at the lights below. The wind blew through her hair, cold and sharp. She was free for now. But she knew this was only the beginning. Far away in a glowing house window, she could see Eli sitting by the glass, holding the silver badge that matched hers. Their friendship was now a secret, and secrets were dangerous. Sierra clenched her fist. "They can hunt me," she whispered, "but I won't let them hurt him." As the night deepened, her silver eyes glowed faintly. Somewhere inside her, an old power awakened again, the power of a guardian. And the galaxy was about to find out what happens when an outcast fights for something she loves. Days passed in uneasy silence. The great city of Arion 9 gleamed brighter than ever, but under its shining towers, fear grew like a shadow. Everyone had seen the warning posters, the silver-eyed alien who used forbidden power. Her name was whispered in fear and hatred, the Lunari ghost. Sierra stayed hidden near the city's edge, living in abandoned tunnels and forgotten rooftops. She moved only at night, covering her face with torn cloth. Everywhere she looked, drones searched. Patrols scanned the air, but her heart wasn't afraid for herself anymore. It was afraid for him. She hadn't seen Eli since that night. Every hour she wondered, was he safe? Was his father angry? Did the patrols question him? She couldn't stay away. So each evening she climbed the old tower near his home and watched from afar. Through the cracked glass she saw him, a small figure sitting by his window, holding the silver badge she had given back to him once. He always looked up at the stars before sleeping, as if waiting for her. And each time, Sierra whispered to the wind, "I'm still here." Little one, but not everyone was blind. A man in a dark coat often stood near the same street watching that house too. His name was Captain Dareth, a patrol commander known for hunting down outlaws. He had sharp eyes and no mercy. One evening, his scanner blinked red. "Energy residue detected," it said softly. He smirked. "So the ghost is near the boy." He sent a coded message to the command base. "Prepare the bait. We'll catch her tonight." That same night, Eli sat by his window again, lonely and silent. His father had locked the doors and warned him not to go outside. "The alien is dangerous," he'd said. Forget about her, but Eli couldn't forget. She had saved his life, twice. He looked out at the dark street. "Where are you, Sierra?" he whispered. Then a faint blue glow flickered in the distance, a light that only he would recognize. It was her. Without thinking, he grabbed his small jacket and sneaked out the back door. The streets were quiet, the air cold. He followed the glow through narrow alleys until he reached an open square. There he saw her, standing in the moonlight. "Sierra," he called out, running to her. She turned quickly, her hood falling back. Her silver eyes widened in shock. "Eli, what are you doing here?" "You shouldn't." Before she could finish, red beams of light cut through the shadows. Patrol soldiers stepped out from every corner, weapons raised. "Target confirmed," shouted Captain Dareth. "Lunari subject located. Capture alive!" Sierra's heart pounded. "It was a trap. Run, Eli," she shouted, pushing him behind her. The soldiers fired stun bolts. Sierra spun, her hands glowing blue. She raised a shimmering shield, the energy forming a wall of light. The blasts struck it, shaking the ground. She screamed as the power burned through her veins. "She wasn't strong enough. Stay behind me," she gasped. Eli cried out, "Stop hurting her." The captain stepped forward, smirking. "You really think you can protect him, alien? You're nothing but a weapon that should have died with your kind." Sierra's eyes glowed brighter. "Maybe I am a weapon," she said, voice trembling. "But I choose who I protect." With a wave of her arm, she sent a shockwave that knocked several soldiers off their feet. Sparks filled the air, alarms blaring, but her strength was fading fast. Each burst of energy tore through her body like fire. Eli ran to her side. "Please stop. You're hurt." She knelt beside him, coughing, blue light fading from her skin. "Eli, listen to me. You have to go. I won't leave you." Her hand cupped his cheek gently. "You're brave. But if they take you too, I'll never forgive myself." Tears streamed down his face. "But they'll hurt you." She smiled weakly. "They already have. Long ago. Before the soldiers could reach them, she slammed her glowing hand into the ground. A burst of light exploded outward, blinding everyone. When the light faded, she and Eli were gone. Far away, outside the city walls, a transport tunnel flickered open. Sierra stumbled out, carrying the boy. Her body shook, weak and burned from the inside. Eli clung to her, trembling. "Where are we?" "Outside the patrol zone," she said, gasping for breath. "But they'll come." She looked at the horizon, a wasteland of sand and broken metal. "We can't go back now." "Not ever." Eli nodded, holding her hand tightly. "Then I'll go with you." Sierra's eyes filled with tears. For the first time in years, she didn't feel like a ghost anymore. In the distance, patrol ships rose from the city, searching the skies. The hunt wasn't over, but the outcast and the child were no longer alone. And as the first light of dawn touched their faces, Sierra whispered, "Let them come. I have something worth fighting for now." The wasteland stretched as far as the eye could see, endless sand mixed with the broken bones of machines. The air shimmered with heat during the day and froze like glass at night. No one lived here anymore. At least that's what the galaxy believed. Sierra moved carefully, her steps uneven. The blue glow under her skin had dimmed and her strength was fading fast. Eli walked beside her, holding her hand tightly, his little face full of worry. "Are you okay?" he asked softly. She nodded weakly. "Just tired. The jump drained too much energy." They stopped near the remains of an old Lunari ship half buried in the sand. The symbol on its side, a silver circle surrounded by stars, was worn but still visible. Sierra ran her fingers over it, her eyes distant. "This was one of ours," she whispered, "before the war. Before everything burned." Eli looked up at her. "Did you live on this ship?" "No," she said softly. "But my family did. Maybe once my people dreamed of peace here." He didn't understand all her words, but he felt the sadness behind them. He squeezed her hand tighter. We can make it home again. You and me. Her lips curved into a faint smile. You always believe in impossible things. I learned that from you, he said proudly. That night they built a small fire using broken cables and bits of metal that still sparked faintly with old power. Sierra sat close to the flame, her eyes reflecting its light. She looked at the boy beside her, sleeping peacefully despite the cold. For years she had been hunted, hated, forgotten. But now, sitting in the quiet desert, she realized something new. She wasn't alone anymore. Someone cared whether she lived or died, someone small, human, and full of hope. She touched the star-shaped badge Eli had given her. Friend, she whispered, her voice trembling. That word still scares me. Then suddenly a faint hum filled the air. She stood up quickly, eyes narrowing. The sand around them began to shift, glowing with hidden energy. The symbol on the ship flickered back to life. A voice echoed from inside the wreckage, old and mechanical. Lunari signal recognized. Initiating access protocol. Eli woke up with a start. What's happening? Sierra stared in disbelief. It's the ship. It's still alive. The ground opened slightly, revealing a staircase of light leading down into the darkness. She hesitated. This could be dangerous, Eli grinned. Danger never stopped you before. She couldn't help but smile back. Stay close. They descended together into the ancient ship. The air was thick with dust, but glowing lines along the walls pulsed like veins. At the center of the room stood a large crystal sphere filled with blue light. Sierra touched it gently and the sphere responded, flaring bright. A holographic image appeared. A Lunari woman with kind eyes, speaking in an ancient tongue. Sierra's heart raced. It's a memory. From before the fall, the hologram translated itself into galactic common. To all Lunari who survive, you are not forgotten. The galaxy turned against us, but our light remains hidden beneath the sands. Protect the children of the stars, they are our future. Sierra's hands trembled. Protect the children. Her eyes moved to Eli. That's why I met you, she whispered. It wasn't an accident. Eli tilted his head. What do you mean? I think your kindness awakened something old inside me. My people believed humans and Lunari were once connected, bound by shared light. The crystal pulsed again, showing fragments of history. Humans and Lunari standing together before the war, building worlds side by side. Then betrayal, fire, silence. Eli's eyes widened. So, humans and Lunari were friends before? Yes, she said softly. Before fear destroyed everything. Suddenly a new sound echoed, a low rumble outside. Patrol ships. The red lights of scanners swept across the sand. Sierra's heart pounded. They found us, Eli grabbed her arm. What do we do? She looked at the glowing crystal. We take this with us. It holds the truth. Proof that Lunari were not the monsters they say. She placed her hand on the sphere. It shrank into a small orb that fit in her palm, humming softly. But as soon as she did, the old ship began to crumble. Run, she shouted. They climbed the stairs as metal fell around them. A beam of light cut through the sand above. Patrol drones descending fast. Eli slipped, but Sierra caught him, pulling him close. Hold on. They burst from the ship just as it exploded, sending a shockwave of sand into the sky. Through the chaos, Sierra saw the patrol lights closing in. They'll capture us. Eli cried. Not tonight, she said, her eyes glowing brighter than before. She raised her hand and the ground beneath them shimmered. A hidden Lunari gate opened, a circle of blue light leading into the unknown. Sierra looked at Eli. Do you trust me? He nodded without hesitation. Always. She smiled, then jumped with him into the light. The portal closed, and the patrol ship circled the empty desert. Too late. Far away in the silence of space, the portal opened above a forgotten moon. Sierra and Eli tumbled onto soft white dust. The stars above them burned brighter than ever, and for the first time there was peace. Sierra looked up at the galaxy and whispered, The truth will rise again, and when it does, they'll know. Humans and Lunari were never enemies, only lost family. The portal closed behind them with a quiet hum, leaving Sierra and Eli standing on the surface of a forgotten moon. The ground was soft and silver, glowing faintly under the light of distant stars. The air was still but strangely warm. Above them, the shattered rings of a dead planet stretched across the sky like a frozen river of light. Eli looked around in awe. Where are we? Sira took a deep breath. This place? It's sacred. My people once called it Lunaris Prime, the heart of the old empire. I never thought it still existed. Eli bent down, touching the silver sand. It feels alive. It is, she said softly. The moon's surface holds memories. My people built this place to store our history and our hope. As she spoke, faint blue lights began to rise from the ground, swirling around them like tiny spirits. They whispered softly in a language Eli didn't understand, but Sira did. Her eyes filled with tears as she listened. They're welcoming us, she said. They think we've come home. They followed a glowing path that led to a large stone gate carved with Lunari symbols. The gate opened when Sira touched it, revealing an underground city, ancient, silent, but still alive with blue energy pulsing through the walls. Eli's mouth fell open. This is beautiful. The halls were filled with crystal statues, each one shaped like a Lunari elder. Their eyes glowed faintly as if watching. At the center stood a giant sphere of light, larger than any they had seen before. This is the core of memory, Sira whispered. It holds the truth of our people, everything before the war. Eli looked at her curiously. Can it show us what happened? She nodded. Yes, but once activated it will reveal everything, even to the ones hunting us. He hesitated. Then maybe we shouldn't. She smiled gently. Truth should never hide, Eli. Lies built the walls that divide our worlds. It's time to break them. She placed the smaller orb from the desert into the core's center. A deep hum filled the chamber, and beams of light shot upward, forming images all around them. They saw the past, a time when humans and Lunari lived side by side. They shared cities, technology, and dreams. The two species built wonders together, bridges that connected planets, machines that sang to the stars. Then came the darkness. A powerful human faction, fearful of the Lunari's abilities, spread lies. They called the Lunari mind thieves, traitors, monsters. And soon the Great War began. The images turned red, fire, explosions, ships burning in orbit. The sky itself cracked under the weight of hatred. Sira fell to her knees, tears running down her face. They destroyed us. Because they were afraid of our light. Eli knelt beside her. But now we can show them the truth, right? She looked at him, her eyes shining. Yes. With this memory core, we can change everything. But even as she said it, a sharp sound echoed through the chamber. A signal, distant, but growing stronger. The patrols had found them. High above the moon's surface, a galactic command ship broke through orbit. Inside, Commander Voss watched the readings. Energy surge detected. Coordinates locked. The Lunari ghost is on that moon. He smirked. Prepare to deploy. The galaxy doesn't need ghosts. It needs obedience. Down below, Sira felt the tremor in the ground. She stood quickly, eyes blazing. They're coming. Eli grabbed her hand. We can run through another portal. She shook her head. No, the moon's energy is nearly gone. If we leave now, this truth dies here forever. But if we stay, they'll capture us. I know. She looked at him gently. But sometimes, Eli, fighting isn't about winning. It's about showing the world why you stood up at all. The boy's voice trembled. I don't want to lose you. Sira smiled sadly. You won't, not truly. She touched the core again, and it began transmitting the holographic memories into the sky, sending the truth into space, to every network and station across the galaxy. Images of humans and Lunari working together filled the night above 1,000 worlds. On distant planets, people looked up in shock. The truth was out. As the galactic ship descended, Sira turned to Eli. When they land, hide behind the crystal wall. Don't move until it's over. No, he cried. I'm staying with you. Eli, please, she started, but it was too late. The doors above burst open with light and soldiers poured in. Sira stepped forward, her eyes glowing brighter than ever before. I won't run anymore, she said. If they want me, they'll have to face the truth too. Outside, the sky of the forgotten moon burned blue as the light of Lunari and the fury of man met again after centuries. But this time something was different. Because a child's small heart stood beside a broken alien's courage. And together, they were about to shake the galaxy awake. The forgotten moon shook under the roar of engines. The galactic command ship descended like a metal storm, its cannons glowing red. Dust and light swirled around Sira and Eli as soldiers surrounded the ancient Lunari city. Commander Voss stepped forward, his armor gleaming in the blue glow of the core of memory. His voice cut through the silence.
Lunari Outcast.
You are charged with using forbidden energy and spreading false history against the Empire. Sira stood tall despite her wounds, her silver eyes burning with calm fire. I only showed the truth, she said. You cannot erase what already lives in the stars. Voss sneered. Truth is what the Empire decides. He raised his weapon. The soldiers aimed at her. Eli cried out, stepping in front of her. Don't hurt her! The commander froze. The boy? His eyes narrowed. So it's true. You've poisoned a human child with your lies. Sira's voice broke with pain and fury. He saw kindness before you saw fear. That's something your empire will never understand. Above them, the sky shimmered. The holographic broadcast she had released continued spreading. Across 1,000 planets, people watched the story of the Lunari unfold. Their friendship with humans, their fall, and their last survivor standing against the Empire. Citizens whispered. Some cried. And somewhere far away, a soldier looked up from his post and said, Maybe. We were wrong. Back on the moon, Voss gave the order. Fire! Blasts of red energy filled the air. But Sira moved first. A wave of blue light burst from her hands, forming a massive shield that curved like a dome around her and the boy. The energy screamed, vibrating through the ground. Eli shouted, Sira, stop! You're hurting yourself! She smiled weakly. It's all right. Light only hurts when you hold too much of it. But it's meant to be shared. The soldiers' blast reflected back, shaking the entire chamber. The crystal statues around them began to crack, glowing brighter. Sira's energy spread into them, awakening the ancient Lunari spirits sleeping in stone. One by one, the statues came alive, their eyes lighting up with blue fire. They rose silently, forming a circle around Sira, their light joining hers until the entire moon glowed like a second sun. Voss stumbled back, shielding his face. What is this? Sira's voice echoed, soft but powerful. It's the light you tried to bury, the truth you feared. You cannot silence it anymore. Eli stood beside her, tears streaming down his face. Please don't go, he whispered. You said we'd stay together. Sira knelt down, her body trembling from the energy flowing through her veins. I am always with you, Eli. You reminded me who I am, not a weapon, not a ghost, just someone who can still love. She placed her hand on his chest. A small spark of blue light passed from her to him. Keep this, she said softly. It's the light of my people. As long as it lives in you, the truth will never fade. The energy around her grew brighter, almost blinding. The ground shook. The sky cracked open with a flash and then silence. When the light faded, Sira was gone. Only a small blue crystal lay where she had stood, pulsing gently. Her last heartbeat turned into light. Eli fell to his knees, clutching it to his chest. He whispered, I'll tell them who you were. I promise. Commander Voss stared at the boy, shaken and speechless. Around them, the soldiers lowered their weapons, not from command, but from shame. They had seen something that no law could erase. Voss turned away, his voice hollow. Let them leave. Years passed. The story of the Lunari outcast spread across the galaxy. Some called her a rebel. Others called her a savior. But to one boy who grew up into a young man, she was simply his friend. Eli became a voice for peace, standing before councils, showing the recordings of the core of memory. He told everyone about the alien who had once been hungry, alone and hated, yet gave her life to protect a child and a truth the galaxy had forgotten. And slowly, something changed. Humans began to question their history. Lunari refugees came out of hiding. Worlds began to rebuild bridges long broken. One night, years later, Eli stood beneath the twin suns of Arian 9, the same city where it had all begun. He looked up at the sky, holding the glowing crystal that still pulsed faintly in his hand. He whispered, You were right, Sira. The light was never meant to fade. For a moment, the wind carried a soft voice, warm, kind, and familiar. Friends never fade, Eli. He smiled through his tears. I miss you. A gentle blue glow filled the horizon, rising like dawn. And across the galaxy, where war and fear once ruled, the story of the hungry outcast who became a guardian lived on. Not in statues, not in books, but in hearts that finally remembered what it meant to be human.